Welcome everybody to the WordPress Web Help Meetup. We get together every second Monday and help each other with WordPress. If you've got skills, you can contribute them. If you need help, you can reach out. I usually wait a few minutes, give people some more chance. We had 14 RSVPs. Half of those have shown up. So let's see if a couple more minutes might not help allow the folks to gather. Tonight we're going to be having Will Middleton of WP Course Creation. There's Mike. And Will's going to be telling us how to turn our expertise into courses and memberships. Very useful stuff. I'm really looking forward to hearing what he's got to tell us. Hey, Mike, welcome, sir.
Hi, Edward. How's it
How are you,
going?
sir?
I'm
It's
good.
good. How are things up there?
I got a little cooler last week, a lot of rain, starting to warm up again, but I think we can safely put the snow shovels away. Something you don't have to worry about down there in San Diego.
No, no. We're gonna be let me see, by Wednesday, um we're gonna be 77 degrees. So
But
I don't
we did get snow. We got about an inch of snow, maybe 2 days ago, 3 days ago, but didn't last.
know.
It's gone by the afternoon.
No, that's cool.
Yep.
Nice enough to make it interesting, you know. We've been having our usual boring skies, which are just blue, an occasional cloud, that sort of thing. Although the other night, what was it, Saturday night, got to watch SpaceX launch out of Vandenberg, which is always cool. I had it on a couple of, they had launched on Mondays prior to this, and I had come out from the community center across the street from my house, and you could see the rocket trail, you know, after the fact, because it sits there and just kind of swirls around, and the sunset hits it and all that stuff, and can make for really cool skies. But this uh, that night, and it was funny. We came out, we were looking up in the skies. Hey, welcome, Patrick. Welcome, Sharon. We were looking up in the skies, and somebody, oh, check it out, you know, and it was just a plane. So we're like, yeah, come on, man. Planes fly. We got multiple airports around here. And then within, I kid you not, like within 60 seconds of this interaction, suddenly one of my buddies, Mac, who works for General Dynamics as a aeronautics or a space contractor, he says, "Look over there," and he pointed up, and it was SpaceX. So we actually got to watch it go across the sky and leave the trail that I'd only observed. Gordon Tibbs is here, and then and we even got to watch the one of the booster rockets jettison, and then because it apparently it lands on a barge in Baja California. So we actually saw the retro rockets fire. It was cool. I mean, I hadn't, even when I lived on the East Coast or visited Florida, never saw a rocket launch or anything. So it was quite cool. And then, of course, we had the trails. So welcome, everybody. We've now got, hey, we've got a lot of folks here. Um, our most recent one was Gordon. Gordon, welcome. Glad you're here. Um, So again, welcome everybody to the WordPress Web Help Meetup group. I'm Edward Sanchez of Brass Ring Web Design. I'm the organizer for this group. We'll, in a moment, we'll go around and we usually ask as we gather, and we'll be addressing these sort of things after Will's presentation, because our featured presentation tonight, as you may know, is on course creation from Mr. Will Middleton of WP Course. Course creation, right?
Course guide.
Course guide. I'm sorry. I should have your name in front of me here.
All good.
So many screens. Here we go. Course. And of course, next month, we'll have Holly Cliff, who is a professional content creator. She will be giving a presentation on that. And we still haven't got our speaker for June. If anybody here has a product, service, or well, mostly products or service that you'd like to present, I encourage you to let us know, and I'll reach out to you, and we can set that up for the months to come. It helps to get our participation. Well, it makes the meeting more useful and participation a little more robust, which of course is always a good thing. So at this point in time, I'm gonna see and go ahead and I'm gonna ask you to raise your virtual hand. Let me know if anybody needs help on how to do that. But to let us know if you have an issue, a question, or something that you would like to address as your visit here. And of course, after that, we'll go into some, there'll be a little duplication, but we usually start with some introductions. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what brought you here, why you're here, any ideas you might have for our group moving forward, things that you might like to see discussed. We ask, what's your biggest WordPress or business challenge? And because this audience is typically people who are in small business, and I know my business includes a modicum of business coaching. I've been doing it a long time, and sometimes small businesses have obstacles to get past. So anyway, at this point in time, has anybody got a question or a problem that you'd like us to address? No? Okay, well, if any occur to you as we're listening to Will, by all means, go ahead and put it in the chat. Hopefully you've got your meeting chat open. I'll go ahead and put my...
So are you doing the presentation first in the help desk? Are you doing the help desk first? Or are you going to do introductions or?
Well, we've been doing the call for problems is kind of a chance for us to get people to gather. But I'm trying to get in the interest of getting better views on YouTube, full disclosure, get started with the presentation a little sooner than later. However, we want to introduce the questions.
I've got some cadence questions. I don't know if anybody uses that theme.
Go.
I'm having a problem with responsiveness, and I have like 5 sites on cadence, but suddenly I haven't built one in a year, and they've changed some stuff. So, but I don't want to bog the group down. I'm going to figure it out eventually, and there's other meetups coming. So if you don't want to get to the presentation for your YouTube video, I don't want to take anyone down a rabbit.
Well, let's as well, we'll see how it goes, but Will says it shouldn't be that long that he's going to be dealing with the body. of his presentation. Of course, afterwards, we always leave time for questions. In order to keep his continuity, we've tried asking questions on the fly, and unless it's something that's absolutely urgent, it seems to be preferable to leave them towards the end. But I encourage you to put any questions that might pop up as you're listening to Will present, put those in the chat. The chat is where it's at. Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. Any of you who are professionals in the WordPress space or in the small business coaching space, here's a chance for some shameless self-promotion. So I encourage you to put your contact information in the chat. If it's too long, Zoom will tell you. But anyway, so I've made a note of the cadence situation, Mike, and maybe we can address that after after Will's presentation. That sound good? We can discuss if anybody has any ideas. All right. Anybody else have any? There's Mike, info@advanceddigitalcollective.com. And don't forget to put your that link for the WooCommerce scheduling and stuff. All right. Sharon's got her info in there. Great. Cool. Yeah, I encourage everybody. I mean, we're here to I truly believe that a rising tide raises all boats. So we have no competitors here. We are only potential allies. All right, so why don't we start with some introductions? I will go in the order that I see you listed here on my screen, and I'm going to skip over Magic Will because he's our presenter. But Mike, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself? I'll put the questions for the introductions.
Sure, I'm Mike from Spokane. I manage a number of websites. I run some meetups, something called WooCommerce that Edward just referenced. I'll put a link to that. That's on Wednesdays at noon. 4 or 5 people in this group usually show up. It's about e-commerce, and then I do a monthly WordPress meetup the second Thursday of each month. And yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. Now, you had asked earlier about the biggest problems with websites and stuff. Was that for the intro or is that for later?
We're not carved in stone, but yeah, that's one of the items. I just put it in the chat too.
For me, government compliance. So many rules anymore, and there's new ones coming as far as data collection, security, and all these websites now. Any kind of website, you're a target for these lawyers. And California is the worst and getting worse. Washington's got new legislation. There's new national legislation, and yeah, it's
you guys are getting well Californicated.
yeah,
I know. And
yeah. Well, we're moving out of Washington, but
you know how I feel, Mike, right?
Yep. And I'm like mine. Anyway, for the biggest challenges, I think that's going to be a huge thing for everyone with their websites in the months, years to come.
Okay.
Months or some. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Caitlin, I've got you next on my list.
Yeah, hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm from Washington. I'm based in Seattle. Yeah, I'm just here to see what this is all about, really.
It's all about us, which now includes you. You may have read the description on MeetUp. The idea is that fundamentally, WordPress does not offer tech support. And this group has existed since 2004. Well, I forget the original date. I've been in it since 2014. And the idea is to offer help. If people have issues, it's kind of hippie style, and kind of mutual aid sort of thing, where we help each other if we have the information to help somebody address an issue they're experiencing. We're here to do that. We're also, there's two basic types of people that come here: people who need help, people who would like to offer help. And I encourage people who are professionals in the WordPress space, again, to offer their services for our members to take advantage of. Okay, well, thank you. Nice having you here, Caitlin. How about Charles?
Hi, everybody. My name's Charles. I am based out of San Antonio, Texas. I've been doing generalized web development for over 20 years. Been doing WordPress for about 5. And I still haven't come up with a good answer to that other point there, Edward. This is like my fourth meeting with you guys.
Uh-huh.
So
Well, that's
yeah,
great.
and I think the biggest challenge, I mean, for me, I'm trying to restart my freelance business, and getting clients is the biggest issue I have. Thank God I got a full-time day job.
Copy that. Oh, you are definitely preaching to the converted over here. Well, good to have you here, Charles. And I put the things in there again. Remember where you are, what you do, and so biggest WordPress or business issue, yeah, client flow is an absolute issue that I've struggled with. Well, for a long time. That's the landscape changes and what have you. That brings us to the illustrious Daryl Oberg up there in Canada. Daryl?
Right, I'm Daryl Oberg. I'm the owner of AYD Internet Marketing, and I also help co-host. I guess co-host is a word.
Oh,
Just
here,
MeetUp.
I'll make you co-host. That's right.
And yeah, so I'm in Canada. I'm in Kelowna. It's a small more of a small lakeside town. People come here in the summer for holidays, so it's gonna get busy soon. And what do I do? Marketing strategy. My specialty is PPC. Google, LinkedIn, Meta, tying it all together and making it work for you. I've been doing marketing since 2014, and I started going more down the PPC route around 2017. After
PPC, of course, being pay per click
Google
for
ads,
anybody.
LinkedIn ads, after dabbling in a lot of other areas of marketing. So what is that? The biggest challenge? Actually, it would be useful if I could expand my network, because I always need clients, but this is more, but I'm gonna do a different one today. Developers who understand Google Tag Manager and a little bit about ads and Google Ads and Meta and WordPress. Because sometimes I need help with conversion tracking, because I know enough, but I'm not really a developer. So sometimes I spend way too much time doing something I'm not good at on that end of things. So having more of my, knowing more people to work with on that would be useful, because I run into some pretty unique situations setting up conversion tracking, which is really important in the PPC world. And on to who's over next.
Cool. I see Gordon Tibbetts. Come on down.
Awesome. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Edward.
Good having you here.
Yeah, thank you. I am just a total DIY WordPress person. I teach guitar and music lessons primarily, so this is not my skill set. Typically, I've built my site, but it probably is rife with issues, but it allows me to get customers in a local geographic area, because I find that most people are looking for lessons within about 5 minutes or 15 minutes of drive time. And now then I get people from other parts and take lessons online. And I've been using FixRunner as a support to take care of some of the issues that I don't want to deal with typically, because I've realized that I just have limited bandwidth. But what's interesting about this group is just the concept of courses and membership and instructional design is a topic, because I only can take so many students in real time, and sometimes I can't help but wonder if I would be better served to get into content creation or create learning modules as another way to present information, or just even as a marketing tool. So that's kind of why I'm here. But I probably have a lot less of experience compared to a lot of folks here. But thanks for letting me be here tonight.
Cool. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
And don't forget, there's nothing that says you can't put in your contact information for lessons. I think everybody should learn. Everybody should learn to play an instrument, and guitar is something that's been part of my life for over half a century. Couldn't live without it. Let me see. Did I see to you, Caitlin? We did see to you, yes. So how about Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Gilchrist. I live in Minnesota. I do fractional CFO and bookkeeping services, and I use WordPress for my website. And I'm here to learn more about setting up online courses in WordPress to see what the possibilities are for that.
Where are you?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
I see Connor with a K.
Yeah, my name's Connor Kurilla. I'm located in Seattle, Washington as well. And I do some WordPress website development, as well as working inside of some other website development suites. And then I also do some Python and PHP development on the side. And I've been working in software for 3-4 years now. So
Cool. Well, good to have you here, sir. Glad you showed up. Who we got? We got Patrick Moores. Patrick, would you like to introduce yourself? Patrick? Am I not hearing him, or is he still muted?
I don't hear him either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything.
You know me and my audio, Daryl.
Well, drop something in the
Okay,
chat
well-
for him, and then just to make sure, in case he can't
Yeah.
hear us. Might be technical.
Okay. Well, here, I'm going to ask him to unmute. There we go. Patrick? You there?
Hello?
Yeah, okay, I hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Mute. Oh.
Give us your introduction. Who, where, what, why you're here, biggest WordPress or business challenge. You're on, sir.
He's muted. Here, too.
I just asked him to unmute. He's unmuted now. Patrick? Web help to Patrick. Come in, Patrick. Okay, I'm going to skip over to Sharon, and we'll keep letting Patrick have a chance to sort out his microphone issues.
Looks like it's a phone. I don't know if phones.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I heard that. Okay, I see you. Why don't you start speaking quickly so we can get your introduction? Don't want to get too bogged down in technical issues, because they can range in everything from the wonders of Zoom to internet
also-
provider issues.
It's a phone as well. I don't know if Zoom and phone have a, I'm not sure what the relationship is like with on that. I've never really used it on a phone.
Hey, Patrick, maybe I'll encourage you to put your information in the chat since we seem to be having issues with getting it from you in an audio sense. Which brings us to Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, hey everybody. I'm Sharon Yates, and I am down in Galveston, Texas, a neighbor of good old Chuck over there. And I have my own business called Creative Mouse Studio, and I specialize in e-commerce websites for manufacturers. I am here because I saw that Will was doing the presentation, and I also do some online courses for tech, WooCommerce tech courses, and also some business courses. So I had I think Will bought a lifetime license of that, and I started using it. So I'm just here to see what you have that I don't know yet.
There you go. Well, awesome. Glad to have you here. Thanks for showing up. So I think we got through all the introductions with the exception of myself. I'm Edward Sanchez. I'm here in San Diego, California. My company is called Brass Ring Web Design. Guess what I do? I've been building websites since 1998 and started specializing in WordPress in 2009 or 10, thereabouts. I had to be dragged kicking and screaming into it because I thought it was this cookie cutter, thing, and a very smart marketer talked me past those misgivings, and I've never looked back. I found that WordPress allowed me to offer much more.
Hello?
Hello, who's speaking? Patrick? I'm going to ask you to put your introduction in the chat since you seem to be having some technical issues. So yeah, sorry, but we've got to get rolling along here. Anyway, what I was saying, yeah, Patrick, sorry, buddy. We're just going to have to have you put your intro in the chat, okay? So stop trying to unmute, and I hope you're able to solve your problem. Sometimes phones
Hello?
are. There's Patrick. Okay. Yeah. I hate to put him in the waiting room, but
Well, can you hear us? I wonder, can you hear us, Patrick? Just type
yeah,
in the chat if you can hear us.
it's, we just don't have the luxury of solving people's technical issues. I'm afraid we really need to get going. We're
Yeah,
half
I put in the chat for him
we're
to
a
drop
half
his
hour
info.
into.
It's 6:30, so yeah, we're
Did
pretty
you
much.
did you message him directly? And
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute him because we can't just have hello every few minutes. So anyway, what I was saying is WordPress gave me the opportunity to offer a lot more robust features and styling and what have you. Because at the end of the day, it's about how much time we're putting into our website projects versus what we're charging for them and how much they take, how much time they take. And WordPress has been such a great, I call it an erector set. You can build anything you need, and Will is about to tell us about two of the great ways that we can use this tool. So with that being said, and by the way, I'm at My WordPress Guy. If you forget Brass Ring Web Design, just remember My WordPress Guy, hashtag it, you'll find me. So with that being said, let me quickly, and I'll save time by just reading the guidelines myself. We ask that all comments and discussions should be respectful of others.
So
And yeah, Patrick, I'm going to mute you because I know you're having issues. All comments and discussions should be respectful of others. We ask that you add a profile photo to your Zoom account so we can still see your face when you turn off your camera. Please raise your virtual hand if you'd like to speak, and mute your microphone when you aren't speaking. Daryl and I have the ability to mute everybody, but that way we won't hear your dog barking or your baby crying or the TV or any of that stuff. During speaker presentations, we ask that you type your questions in the chat. With that being said, and speaking of presentations, it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Will Middleton. And he's gonna, well, Will, introduce yourself and tell us what you're gonna be telling us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Edward. And
bet.
thanks everyone for joining. I'm going to dive through a quick presentation, probably 7 to 10 minutes max. And if we want to dive into any questions, I'm happy to talk more details about instructional design, taking a community in-person training, make it an online course, or any technical specifics. But yeah, let me share my screen and start diving into it. So share desktop 1, make full screen. Can you see my presentation screen?
Yes, sir.
Doing courses in memberships in WordPress is easier than you think. And so this is going to be a super high level presentation. I'm happy to talk about anything super specific, including cadence troubleshooting. But yeah, I'll dive through kind of the story. And this outlines kind of the story of how I got into WordPress and might open up some just kind of big ideas about what this industry is and how you can add courses and memberships to your stack and to your life. So yeah, it's I'm excited. So I once met a man from space, and some people's visions are bigger than this world. There's a course inside of all of us. That's something Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS has as like a cornerstone quote of his. And yeah, so the essence of this presentation is, what is the sword that you use? And to kick it off, I'm going to talk about a little bit of where I came from. So I came from the cold, small town Minnesota, a small town of population only 900 people. Oftentimes we had like -40 Fahrenheit temperatures. I came from the flatland, the farmland, the far away from where I'm at now. And all I knew growing up was that I didn't want to be in school. I hated high school, and I didn't want to be them. I didn't want to be this. I didn't want to be the corporate, the icons, the sameness. It's just not really my personality. And so the sword I wield is WordPress. I've been working with WordPress now for about 8 years. And the man from space was about to teach me a whole lot about the story that we all share. So buckle up, we're about to learn a whole lot about a whole lot. So zooming back to small town Minnesota, I looked out at the night sky a lot. I remember going outside and it was completely silent. You could hear dog barking, you could hear the wind, but in the freezing cold dead of winter with full moons, it was just completely silent. And I'd often look up at the moon and you wouldn't hear anything other than total silence in your own thoughts. And I'd spend most of my time inside, spent many moons inside, many years just on my computer trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur online. I would work on building my own courses, learning how to use WordPress, learning how to be something in the world, and just kind of figure out what I was going to do with my life. Because at this time I was pretty young. I was about like 15 years old. And I was working with a company called Lifter LMS. I was working with the tool using Lifter LMS to build my own courses and memberships. And I was also working in the company because the CEO, Chris, would give me projects, manning the sales chat, doing demo phone calls, reaching out to people, doing Zoom calls, and I would write podcast summaries for the LMS Cast podcast, like the podcast that Lifter LMS hosted. So in addition to doing my own projects, trying to figure out who I am in the world, I also would do little projects for the company themselves. And through that process, I was exposed to all kinds of marketing experts, course experts, clients building courses, freelance work opportunities, and that became my life and everything I did for a long time. And that's enough about me, but I want to talk about why this matters to you and how you can add courses more easily into your life and business, and how to think about these concepts integrating into your day-to-day. And so this matters to you because the sword you wield is also WordPress. A lot of people on this call know how to launch the WordPress admin. They know what a plugin is. They're working with themes. So we use the same tool set. And you might not be thinking a whole lot about everything that that tool has to offer and how you can use that power. And so I want to present to you in a new way what you can unlock with courses and memberships to build something with the tools that you already have access to and really bring something to life, bring that learning and transformation inside of you to life. And you may not already have ventured into the plugins add new area in WordPress where you can explore all the tools available for adding functionality to WordPress. But a lot of times I think of plugins as adding a feature to an existing platform, just like a singular feature. But I don't think a lot about how plugins like courses and memberships can really transform what the site is doing entirely. It changes the entire dynamic of what the website is, what the website's purpose is, and what it'll be doing. And that sword that you wield has features that you might not have unlocked yet. And maybe you have ventured into the tool set, maybe you have explored these tools already. But even once you figure out how to use the tools, create courses, accept payments, etc., it often feels overwhelming because there's so much out there. So like, what tool are you going to use to build your platform? What tool are you going to use to accept payments? What are you even going to build if you did unlock the functionality? If you did know how to build anything in WordPress, what would you build? Because there's a whole lot that you could probably teach the world and a lot to think about when putting it together. And so that's the question I asked for the longest time, and I didn't know the answer to is what was I going to do in WordPress? What was I going to build? What courses or memberships? What was I going to teach people? Because I know how to use the tools backwards and forwards, and I know how to create the logins and the signups and the customizations and the email lists and everything. But like, what was I going to do with that? I didn't really know the question or the answer to that question, but I could help the people who did know that answer for themselves. And so after shoveling snow every day in the dead of winter to make sure that the mail people could access the mailbox, I would go inside and work on their websites. I would do client work hourly, building courses, doing content entry, whatever people who had a WordPress website pertaining to online courses and specifically Lifter LMS needed help with, that's what I would be doing. And there were people I worked with who did continuing education, which is like CEU credits. Doctors and nurses and other professionals need to have these continuing education credits in order to kind of continue their career, continue their education, and keep their certifications valid. So there are a lot of people teaching continuing education required for certain jobs. There are authors, experts, speakers, people sharing what they learn as they learned it. And I was part of the people who were doing that. I was sharing what I was learning as I was learning it, creating YouTube content, creating courses, etc. Just answering the questions that people would ask me and then creating that answer in a public space for everybody to be able to Google or have an answer to. And so that's what my online courses became about. That's what my whole thesis became about, was helping people learn how to pilot the WordPress tool and how to do the things they wanted to do, create the things they wanted to create, whatever it might be. And oftentimes it involved more than WordPress. It involved WordPress and LMS, a membership integrating with something else. It involves a lot of moving parts in a lot of cases, but it doesn't have to. But just figuring out how to create the tech stacks where people can share their vision. And so that's the sword I wielded for years, was customizing WordPress in a very extensive way. And so that's how I figured out what I was going to be and what I was going to do, at least for a while. And your journey will look different from that. But let's say we get past that step. So we know what the tools are that are available. We know how to use them, and we know what we'll teach. And I can go in the Q&A to more specifics about how we figure out instructional design, technical specifics about tools, whatever. But let's say we've established that we know what tools we're going to use and we do know what we're going to teach. What do we do next to make sure that's successful? That's where the man from outer space might have a framework to help us here. And that framework looks something like this. So the 5 hats of course creation: being an entrepreneur, community leader, teaching, technical, and expert. These 5 categories have activities within our business that online course businesses will need in order to balance the whole ecosystem of creating content, creating engaging content, building communities of people around that content, making the sales. There's a lot of moving parts here, but this is the 5 hats is a good way to map these out. And so these are the 5 pillars that guide us to where our business is and where our business might struggle. So we can reflect on this and think about, what areas might we have a deficit, which areas might we need help. A lot of times the role I was filling was on that technical side of WordPress email list tool. How do we put this thing together efficiently? That's where people would hire me. And a lot of people who came into that ecosystem had the teaching, they had the expertise, they may have been doing something for an extensive amount of years, had technical expertise in a certain topic, and want to turn that into an online course platform. But this framework gives a pretty good outline to what that all entails, and kind of a good roadmap. But within all of this, we have some new tech we can add to our arsenal. We know what to do, we know what we will do, and we know where to find ourselves when we're stuck. So you know what to do, you know what's out there now. You can identify exactly where you're at in the path here of, are you struggling to know the tools? Are you struggling to figure out what you'll teach and how you'll teach it and how you'll build community? Or is there something bigger that we want to take a look at with the business overall? And so those 3 steps and the 5 hats framework give us just a lot to go off of on their own. And so I've been in the WordPress industry for 8 years building websites, and I've spent 7 of those years working on the Lifter LMS project in some way, somehow in the community, selling it, leading support, designing new products, teaching people how to use it, just being involved in the community every day in some way. And just this year in January of 2024, I stepped down as lead of customer success because it's time for me to work on more of my own adventures. I had been lead customer success for 3 years. I committed to 3 years up front. I'm like, absolutely, we'll see what we can get done. And I've been in the ecosystem for 7 years, but the last 3 years has been leading customer success, leading third-party integrations, and a lot of community stuff at the company. But I stepped down from that because it's time for me to find my own pattern in this world. It's time for me to kind of figure out more specifically who I want to be. I don't know where I'll go. I don't know where it'll take me, but you can still find me with Lifter LMS on weekly live streams. I do a few hours a week. You can find me on Feature Friday with Chris, where we talk about certain features and ways to use Lifter LMS that you may not have thought of for an online course or membership tool, because these tools are very dynamic and powerful. That sword you wield has a lot of features and a lot of ways to kind of move it and create what you want that you may not have considered before. So that's a really cool show. And then also with Kurt from Lifter LMS, I do live streams answering pre-sales and technical questions for customers as well. But that's what I've learned about building online courses at a super high level. I've also learned how to code stuff from scratch, build custom code, do instructional design, and everything else around it. But this story runs deep. And what we talked about today is just the tip of the iceberg. I've spent about 12 hours on this presentation so far, but I'd like to add more to it, more story components of people involved in struggles I faced throughout the journey. But yeah, I think looking back, I would do it all the same way over again in a heartbeat. I know I'm in this transitional period in my career, but having spent 7 years hardcore diving into a certain tool, I don't regret it in any way. There's a lot of challenges and a lot of kind of difficulty and strife and everything we went through, but these people became family to me. We would travel the world and just kind of I don't know, it's just the sense of family and belonging and figuring out who I am and who I want to be really was a product of my family in WordPress. And these people who build and support themes and plugins became just so much more to me than I thought. that WordPress could be, that business could be. And so no matter where I go in my career, no matter what I do next, no matter like what it is, these memories and these people will always be with me. And the course inside of all of us is still a vision that I'm figuring out for myself in a big way. But what I do understand very well is the sword that we use, the tools available to us within WordPress. And so that's primarily what I talk about all the time. And if you want to download these slides, magicwillmiddleton.com/presentations, you can get these slides. But that's the end. That's the grand thesis. What do you think, Ed?
Well, great. I'm glad we got your introduction out of the way. Now, tell us about creating courses and how the folks that are here can wield this mystic sword towards their own ends, towards taking their expertise, their skill, their technical ability, their passion whatsoever, and convert it into a course. I mean, again, we want to stay at a high level, but you know, how maybe you can approach how WP, oh, we got somebody coming in late, how WP Course Guide helps. Forget the name of the software you mentioned there. How that actually works. Is it something that a person can download and self-guide? Is it something that they need a consultant who is a rep for the software to use? And of course, we're here to talk about courses and memberships. So can you, and I realize you may not have a slide for it, but if you do, that'd be great. But if you don't, maybe you can take a few minutes. I set a 30-minute timer, and we're halfway into that. So, and I haven't seen any questions entered into the chat, and I'm sure there must be some. So if you have a specific question about a particular application of how you would like to coursify, we've been using that word, your business, your expertise, you know, feel free to put it in there. Anyway, back to Will.
Yeah, so I think a lot of this, I mean, a lot of it does come down to technical specifics. You can find me and other people on YouTube talking for like hours, like doing click-by-click tutorials about how to build these sites from scratch. That gives a lot of a view into the back end of WordPress and how to put certain technical specifics together on all of these tools you see here on the page. These are some of the most popular LMS tools in WordPress. Lifter LMS in the upper left is the one that I've been working with for years, but I've worked with the other ones too. But Lifter LMS became my tribe. So all of these tools are plugins you install on the back end of WordPress that allow you to basically create like a payment gateway where people can't access certain content without paying for access to that content. And so you can set up in these tools recurring subscriptions. It might be a $30 a month to access certain posts within the WordPress admin. When it comes to something like a membership tool, that's often what it'll be. You'll have pages or blog posts, and there will be a little toggle that you can switch on to basically say you need to have paid to access this content. With something like an LMS, it takes it to another level because there's the concept of learning involved. It's not just pay to access the content, it's pay to access the course. And so a course often involves a progression, sort of a thought pattern.
Can I ask a quick question, Will? Is that learning module system? Is that what LMS stands for?
A management system.
Learning management system. Gotcha.
That's it. And yeah, so there's the concept of progression, the concept that you will start at step one and move to the end. And when you're at the end, you'll have achieved a certain goal or have learned a certain thing. That's not necessarily the case in the membership, but it could be. But the LMS often incorporates quizzes. It incorporates, for those CEU courses I talked about, the required education, which is very common. There's the concept of timers and requirements of like, I need to make sure that people spend 30 minutes taking this course because I need to certify to the government and the approving organization that my customers did spend 30 minutes in the training material, because for the CEU, they have to spend 3 hours per year or something like that with the continuing education. So the LMS components really allow you to dive into learning at a much higher level than membership tools, but it's always about what you're trying to create. And I think a lot of the time, when it comes to figuring out what we're going to create, like we all have expertise in certain things and we all have experiences where we learned things and transformed, and we can use these tools to communicate and pass on that transformation to other people. But figuring out exactly what it is you're going to teach and how you're going to teach it and how you're going to get people to show up and want to learn it is often the deepest question, at least that I have, because you can spend a year, 2 years, like I did, just using the tool every day and come to know it like the back of your hand. Like I know how to use WordPress extremely well, but that doesn't mean that I can create the captivation and experience that people want when they come to a website, and are looking to make some kind of change in their life. I don't quite have that piece. That's something that's a bit more elusive to gain sometimes. It's not like that aspect of captivation is really the challenge. And so a lot of the presentation here, I focus on kind of my story, because I think including your story and your transformation and your vulnerabilities and your journey to where you're at now is going to be a key component to making change. Like there are websites like Masterclass and Skillshare where people can go learn comedy from the best. They can learn cooking from the best. They can learn everything from the best people in the world at what they do. But why would they come to your website and buy your program? It's because it's you. And if you try to remove the pieces of you from your business that make you a unique person in your own transformation, and neglect to tell your story, and a story that people might be able to resonate with, then it really complicates the competition you're going to have with Steve Martin on teaching comedy, because everybody knows Steve Martin for comedy and you can find him on Masterclass. And so like I think, especially even when it comes to things like music, there are very famous musicians who are highly skilled who you can learn from on Skillshare, but like what makes your story and transformation unique is what you can add to your online courses to engage people, to I don't know, just to kind of hook that captivation. And I think that's really important to emphasize, because I got that wrong for years. Yeah, I hope at a high level that I hope that answers that. I saw a question come in chat I can answer too. Can you answer after, how would people start the process? What are some examples of success stories and what did they do using Lifter Elements? Yeah, so Lifter Elements does have some case studies, lifterelements.com/success, where you can hear like the case studies and use cases. I look at those case studies and I'm like, okay, this person got $100,000 in their first year doing this, or they had this big course launch and they took their platform, put it in Lifter, and they were successful. And it's awesome. It's great for them, but that wasn't my experience. My experience was I built a course, I launched it, nobody showed up. And then over the next 5 years, I made like 4 sales of $20 each, and $80 over 4 years isn't going to support me. So it's like, I had to learn how to find success kind of the hard way. And so those case studies are out there for people who already have businesses and communities thriving. But for me, I didn't have a business and community thriving. That was something I had to build up. And so where you can start in the process, I think the best place to start is by answering the questions that people ask you today. If you're not in a space where people are asking questions, trying to find a Reddit forum, Facebook group, wherever people in your community are asking questions is the first thing. Where is the demand in this community at? And I know, Daryl, you do client work, so you're already there. You're already at that point where people are like, how can I do this with my ads? How can I do that? So you already have the fortune of the questions. And so now that you have those questions on the table that people email you directly and stuff like that, you can take those and put it as the title of your YouTube video or whatever resource you'd like to create. You could do a blog post, YouTube video, whatever it is, and then answer that question in a public way. So instead of answering them one-on-one in an email, you just say, that's a great question. I have a resource for that. You just make the resource. Like you write the email draft, copy and paste it into a WordPress blog post and send them the blog post. And now other people who Google that question will find your answer and they'll find your contact form. And it just kind of built that expertise. That's how I did it, is like I'd find questions people asked. And instead of answering them in the comments, I would make a YouTube video and then comment the link to my YouTube video. And then that just created this flywheel of people asking me more and more and more questions. And that built a community that was like 1,000 or so people for me. Like the Lifter LMS community is about 15 to 20,000 people. And of those people who were trying to do very complicated things with the software, I was sort of like a light in that area of answering those questions and creating content answering those questions to respond to people with. And then I created courses because people would be like, how do I do something more complex? I'm like, well, I'm going to have to build a course on that because I can't just answer this in a YouTube video. There might be some components here. So that's how I would get started with the process. And I think there was someone at the beginning talking about music and how you already have in-person music students. That's also just a wealth of opportunity from not only having the ability to get testimonials from those students, but having the ability to potentially record you teaching those students. Because I when I go to presentation mode, when I like turn into presentation mode, I forget everything I know. I like I'm like I know how to use WordPress. I know how to do whatever. And then it's like, okay, start talk about how to use WordPress. And then I just go blank. And I think I'm like, I don't know, you install it with your host, you do whatever. It's like I'm not really talking about the real stuff. And so I think if you can like get one of your students, multiple of your students permission to just record their sessions, maybe you could even give them like a 10% discount or something like that and be like, hey, give you a discount if we can record this. So your learning journey is something that other people can see. You'll get that authentic teaching moment out of people. And it also inspires your students because your students will see that they don't have to feel bad being at the point in their journey where they're at. Because I've been trying to learn music stuff too, and it's incredibly painful to produce my work, and it's garbage. Like it sounds like garbage, and so I'm sure your students feel the same way of like I'm not good enough. And so watching an actual student in your content go through that learning process motivates the people who are watching it as well. So I think that's a lot of opportunity in almost any system, but depending on where you're at, you might need to find demand. You might have demand, and then you need to just simply answer that demand as it comes in. You might already be answering that demand, and then you need to figure out how to scale it by showing other people that you are guiding people through this transformative journey, and then you can use the tools to do that. So there's a few steps there that you might be at. A question from Kathy. Is it possible to set up a course lead magnet, so a free course that collects the person's email address when they register for the free course? Absolutely. Lead magnets are really smart thing to do. If you haven't heard the term lead magnet before, Ed Sanchez sent an email about that last week. But it's basically like just something free, something cheap that people can engage with your business. Like a lot of us here offer premium services, maybe full website builds, maybe advertising consulting, things that are in the $500 to $10,000 range. And so the lead magnet is going to be the $0 to $10 thing that people can engage with your business at that level where they're at, where they're just dipping their toe in the water. And so that is something you can definitely incorporate into an online course site. And I always recommend it. Like having a course plus coaching plus community are three things we talk about: courses, coaching, and community. Has three levels. So oftentimes the course might be like a $200 offer. The community might be like $500, and the coaching might be more premium at like $3,000. But the lead magnet serves a purpose of getting people on your email list, getting people interacting with your content, getting people quick wins, getting people familiar with your teaching. So you can do PDF ebooks. If you were to create something in Canva, create something in Preview, whatever the tools you have to edit things that you already know how to produce a PDF, you can create some resources that people can learn from regarding your subject matter. And you don't have to worry about making these resources intensive, because it's usually nice to not have those resources be intensive. People who are dipping their toe in the water are not looking to swim at 10,000 feet underwater. They're just looking to like hang out in the tide pool. So when it comes to like a music lead magnet, it might not be how to do XYZ on your ukulele. It might be how to create the headspace where you can work on your music. Because I know a lot of people who work on music struggle to, and are trying to learn music, struggle to build that little sanctuary for themselves to be able to work on it and maintain it and keep up the habits. So your lead magnet might be something related to that. It might be, how do I make a space in my closet, make a space in my bedroom, do whatever I have to do to make sure that I'm committed to growing in this music area. And that's perfect, because that might be something people really struggle with. And once they do struggle with it and you help them overcome that, they'll look to you as the person with the answers. And so then that's the first step to building community and building authority and building money and online courses and memberships to support yourself, to keep doing your passion and enlighten the world in that way. That was a lot. That was a monologue. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Ed, does that sound cohesive?
We're at the top of the hour, so I would be encouraged to call for any last questions we might have. Does anybody have any specific questions for Will?
There's one in the chat that just came in from Connor.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
It sounds like you're a bit of a messiah within the Live Through LMS community.
Which would be a great time for you to put your contact information into the chat, Will.
Yeah. Let me recopy that in. Oh, I just closed the chat.
Because remember, at the end of the day, one of the beauties of the and I'll get to your question there in a second, Mike, is that in the WordPress world, one of the great draws is the DIY appeal. However, the disparity between a great tool and building something great with that tool is often experience and that was the end of our timer. Is wisdom and experience, and on the internet, success is a product of two things: time or money. If you've got a lot of time on your hands, then you can do it yourself. But remember that part of that time is going to be a bell curve of learning it to a point of proficiency where whatever it is you're doing is going to be effective. Or you can reach out to somebody who's a subject expert and find that your money is best spent on letting that person do, like Magic Will, do what they do well and help you down that path, rather than, and which allows you to do what you do. If your business, like take Gordon, his business is not WordPress development. His business is teaching people how to enjoy music. And something like what Will does would be great for Gordon to take what he knows and present it to other people. So I hope that helped in some way. Just remember that the experts that we have in these groups can save you money at the end of the day by allowing you to get better at what you do, so you can go out and make money doing that rather than becoming a mediocre web designer. Hey, Mike's got a question. Mike, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Will a question. First of all, Magic Will, thank you for the presentation. I want to ask about some of this streaming stuff. If you're integrating it with your learning modules like Lifter LMS, and are you using like Stream Elements, or are you using like OBS, or does the LMS create the streaming inside the platform that you're able to, share off onto YouTube or Twitch? And then I'm just wondering how many of these, because there's a lot of powerful tools out there anymore. You can do an awful lot with it, but I'm thinking about how you match these together, if you get the gist of my question.
Yeah, like you mean, so like with Lifter, it's really kind of the payment aspect in WordPress and the structure of the posts in WordPress. Um, you still like host your videos on a YouTube or a Vimeo or whatever. Like, so are you looking at like where do you create the content?
Yeah, you're running streams, like you're using OBS.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're adding the stream elements or Streamlabs on top of that for some of those overlays and some of those donation stuff. And are you using any of those features in conjunction with your learning modules, platforms, apps, whatever you call them? I'm just wondering if you, because it seems like that's where the trend's moving a lot the last several years. And I was just wondering, are you using more than one application, or is most of that found in something like Lifter LMS?
It's always going to be more than one application in that case, which is good because then you can change it out. Like when you need to change your LMS, you can do that. You need to change your live stream, you can do that. Like, but yeah, so you would take some way to embed OBS in WordPress, and then you put it in the posts that are restricted by the LMS or the membership tool. So like if meetup.com keeps giving you trouble, then what you do is create your own membership in a WordPress environment and then create your streams directly through WordPress, but you got to sign into the free membership to access, for example. Like you can build like a meetup.com pretty easily within it, pretty easily.
So do you use the streams to drive traffic to your educational modules then, not
it could be either way.
Okay.
It could be either way. Like there's a lot of like live learning going on of say, hey, we're going to do this event on this date. Go ahead and buy in, get access to the private link, and you'll be able to access the stream through the site. That's pretty common. It's also common to do passive courses of like, hey, we have this evergreen content, start it whenever you want, but here's a stream to promote it and get some people in there. And I always recommend recurring for people who are looking at it at that advanced level like you are. I always recommend trying to get recurring payments in there. Because when you're doing one-time payments, you're always going to have to struggle to keep getting more people in the door. But when you have more people coming in the door, in addition to a 50% average retention rate, you're getting money every month. It's just like, people have so many subscriptions they don't cancel. So if you can somehow add a regular community call, a recurring community call, you can get those $10 a month subscriptions going with your clients and get, easily up to
residual
20,
income. Yeah.
Yeah, like you imagine you just have 20 people in there. That's like just $200 a month, which isn't a lot of money, but it's a bunch of people who've already opened their wallets and committed, and you can upsell them to individual client services on your group calls that they have access to, and they could get access to your private blog posts that are more technical. There's a lot of opportunity there, but for someone at your level, I'd recommend getting that recurring income going.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Then there was that question from Connor. I don't think if I fully got it.
I was going to ask you, do you have links for all those softwares that you put in for that slide that you put up?
I guess on my website there probably is. I would just Google those words, and they'll give you the best way to get engaged with those.
Well, guess
tools.
what? I got you. They're in the chat.
Oh, you got me? Okay, awesome. I probably got my affiliate links on my website, so it's you got the raw links. But so you seem to really know. Do you think that the recommendations you gave answering with YouTube videos and whatnot, are they applicable across the industry? Yeah, I think if your customers are searching things on Google, they'll find YouTube videos and they'll find a blog post. Like Daryl said in the chat, content. What I would do is I would create my video answering a question directly from a comment somebody sent me, and then I would copy basically my YouTube description into a blog post on my website, embed the YouTube video on my website. So now I'd have two pieces of content. I'd have the content on YouTube and the content on my WordPress website that's a blog with the YouTube video embedded. And so I'd have two kind of tools working for me. And I didn't put a lot of effort in. It just was like a 1 hour or less answering the question, creating two pieces of content. Pretty simple for me. And you could put more effort in, but I just kept it simple. And then what I'd also recommend doing in this time of, we don't want to be too dependent on one tool. We don't want to be too dependent on YouTube. If YouTube decides to take down your account and cancel all your videos, it's always important to have those videos backed up on a hard drive. I know like Mike on this call is big on backing things up and backing things up to a hard drive. So I'd always recommend keeping your videos on a hard drive, keeping your thumbnails on the hard drive. maybe getting a cloud storage like on bunny.net or something like that that's not on YouTube, just a second platform where you have your videos on two platforms. So if for some reason, like if we say that YouTube is going to be your marketing channel and they decide to pull the plug on you, you can just swap to the other one and you're good to go. You don't want to lose all that content when a platform decides to cut you off, and that's the power you get with WordPress. And so I'd recommend always having that backed up. Like I see so many people, so many friends of mine who like they'll make their video asset, they'll upload it to YouTube, they'll back up their video, but they won't put their description in a note file in a folder with the video. They won't keep their thumbnail on the hard drive with the video. Like make a folder with your thumbnail, your video, and the description and title, so that if you need to deploy it in another hosting, it's not a matter of scrambling. It's a matter of organization, and you've already got a plan. That's something I've seen happen to only a couple of people, but just something to bring up is always keep your stuff backed up.
All right. Do we have anybody else have a question for Will? Want to make sure we leave some time for actual meeting, which is completely in contrast to what I did. I would still be talking based on last month, because I should have set a damn timer. But anyway, Mike had some concerns. He wanted to throw out an issue about cadence. And I certainly myself don't have experience with the Cadence Live. Mike, maybe you can tell us how you're using it and what the issues that you're experiencing are.
Yeah, thanks. Probably best to just share my screen. So I have this company called Advanced Mineral Compounds. I just finished 10 years of litigation when a supplier screwed some stuff up. So the people that built the website for me, it's an old website. It was on 2013. There's a lot of problems. So I'm updating the website. Now I have 4 or 5 websites already on Cadence. It's all gone really well, but I haven't done anything in a year or two. So I'm going to share my screen real quick,
Go ahead.
And so you can see it. And the URL this is on a staging site. The actual one is advancedmineralcompounds.com, but I got it on a staging site right now and I'm building it. And so what's happening right now is you see over here, these menu controls, and then I do a drop-down menu. I can't seem to get this. I want that black. I don't want it white. I want to increase the size of those menu fonts. But when I go to the customizer, like if I have to get in the back end here, I can't seem to get, no matter what I do, where I would normally go to the fonts and typography in the customizer and change the colors, it's not taking. And I don't know if I got a lock on this theme or something that's going on. Let's see if I can move this over here, put another one on that screen here. So, kill this right now. So if I'm to edit this, well, that's not the one either. I've got to edit this. No, sorry if I wasn't really prepared to share this here. So let me go to my staging site here, see if I can find this. So anyway, that's my basic question. How do I get control over this? Because if I go to the main site right here, this white on gold isn't the best for accessibility. And I should easily be able to change those fonts to black. And I can't get
now,
it.
Does this is a Cadence theme that we're seeing?
Yes, it's a Cadence theme.
So and outside of the customizer, are there settings that are specific to the theme? In other words, when you go to the themes area, is there a dashboard and separate settings? Because remember, the WordPress customizer is universal, but themes will have specific ways of doing it. Good ones will have it right in the dashboard. Some might have you put in custom CSS, which I hate, but
I'm really trying to avoid any kind of customized code, because if I hand this site off to somebody, I want to make sure they can
No, I'm fully with you. I'm no, but
So
remember, when you put it in the additional code, it essentially throws it into. I mean, it doesn't create a child theme, but it's similar to that. In other words, the custom code doesn't get overwritten every time. That's my understanding.
so
Daryl's
here's
got
my
his hand up. Oh,
here-
go ahead.
here's my back end. I have gone into the customizer and I've gone into the theme itself. If I go into customizer here, go ahead, Daryl, if you wanted to.
Hey, yeah, I have to get off the call. I wanted to say thank you, Will, for the presentation. It was really good. It was good seeing everyone. And yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, Edward. You were
Did you have any
discussing.
thoughts on what I was saying about the and same with Will? You've got some coding experience as well. My understanding is the way WordPress is as of right now, if you use custom CSS in the customizer, it doesn't get overwritten every time you update your
Well,
And
WordPress.
I think I got you, Mike, on this setting. You think I share my screen real quick? Is it
sure.
Yeah.
or I guess I could talk you through it too.
You should be able to just take
This thing-
over, Will.
This thing is a
Oh,
maze.
no, here, let me stop sharing so he can do that.
Cadence
No,
customizer.
he's co-host, so he should be able to do that anyway.
Yeah, let me share
Well,
desktop. Man,
I'll get out of
I'm
his
just getting
way.
I'm getting used to my two screen setup now. This is hard. Okay. Sorry. This is
Yeah, Zoom's a little
desktop.
quirky on that.
Y'all can see desktop 2, where I'm in my cadence. Can y'all see it?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I'm here. You got my community drop down. If you go to the design tab on the drop down background is like, if I make it red, this is a nightmare to find. But like, you got to go to header, and then you got to go to maybe
So
I'll-
you are within the customizer.
No, I did it. You go to header, then you go to menus, then you go to drop down options, right?
I think if I go to
And then I go to drop down
Oh, but-
options and I still can't get the,
it's primary navigation. If I go primary navigation,
yeah,
then yeah, drop down options design at the top.
okay.
You not have that design tab at the top.
Yeah, no, I'm actually right there right now. I went right where you said I'm there and I can see it. And I do kind of want to make the menu text fonts a little bit bigger, but I have the navigation colors here. It says black, but it shows up white.
Huh. In that right there in drop down background. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is that's where I would do it. And then if you change this, it's like it changes. But I guess could you reshare your screen again? I might have missed what you
Okay, yeah.
about
Let me just real
Let's
quick, like,
stop.
thank you for taking the time to look at that. I
But
cannot
would it be in the
share.
drop down background? Because he wants to change the main navigation color.
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
okay, so
man.
you probably see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's this menu items here. So here I am. I'm in the primary navigation design. It should be black. The navigation color should be black. I hit black. I've saved it. I published it. Yet it stays white. Now the drop down menu. Then I got some. I don't really want to have that red behind there. That's a different issue. But it seems like there should be an easy way to change the color of the fonts across the top here to black. And that has been driving me nuts because I've got, I think, 5 other Cadence sites and I've not had any kind of problems with this stuff. But this one, for whatever reason, and I started looking at the caching and stuff and clearing out caching, and I still can't get these things to be black.
Hey,
Do
Mike,
they have a user form?
I don't know what you mean by user form.
Well, somewhere where they,
Oh,
users of Cadence are dealing with
Oh,
issues.
the forums.
or do
Yeah,
they
no,
have-
yeah, that's next. I'm probably going to put a ticket into Cadence, and I know I'm going to figure this out here because I've got a couple meetups coming up, and I know there's some big Cadence people in the group. I just thought you're calling for questions, and
Yeah, no, not
As
at
long as
all,
I can
man.
as long as I can push out more important questions and have my
Hey,
little.
Mike, don't be shy on asking any questions, man. You can't always be the expert here.
What?
Um,
Okay,
Hey,
anyway,
Mike,
that's
can you
just,
do,
Hey,
Mike, can you do me a favor and like underneath your navigation colors, you see there's a navigation background. Can we just try to change the background, see if that even works?
okay, well, the navigation black background and whatever I got red in there, and that did take. So on the
No,
drop.
that's the drop down. I just
Right,
want the
and
regular
I'm gonna
one.
change that. I'll probably want to change that to a white or something, but anyway, go on.
No, I don't want to change the one behind the main menu right there. I just want to see if that even changes.
Okay, I don't understand exactly.
So where it says pages, blog, and testimonial, it looks like it has a yellow background.
Oh, yeah, right here, it has a red.
No,
What
that's
is
the drop down.
what is the tooltip? You've got 3 navigation colors. What are the two to the right of the black that are currently showing? What is the tooltip for
I've
that?
gone
So
in there
there's
and
your hover
changed
color,
hover
and
color,
there's your
active
active
color,
color.
and the active color right now is blue. I'm gonna change it later.
Okay.
And
hey,
then the hover color. I'm sorry,
Mike.
Charles, go ahead.
Yeah. So do me a favor. Back out of this tab you're in right now.
Okay,
So here's what I'm looking at, right? So I'm looking at the page source.
okay,
I went to inspect element and I can see that the color is coming from the transparent header. So
right
in the
here.
CSS, it's an inline CSS and it's got transparent header. So double check the settings for the transparent header
Okay,
within
let
the
me,
customizer.
There you go. That's it.
And
And
yeah, so
design
go
at the
to
top.
I mean that's one option too, I guess.
oh,
But you see the navigation color is white right there.
yeah, okay.
That's where it was coming
All
from.
right, Chuck, thank you, man.
Yeah. When in doubt, always inspect element.
Yes, okay, thank you so much, man. I have a bunch more I'm gonna have to do with this, but I want to do it now. Perfect. So, hey, I will ask one last question. If I want to increase the font size here, am I doing it at this particular location as well? Or you probably don't know.
Well,
This is color
since
switch.
you've got it turned off, I saw that the font size was on your regular primary navigation. So
Okay. All right.
go down, like you see your bottom of the screen, bottom right.
Yeah.
You got like
right
the
here?
top row. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So you should be able to just click that. And then if you scroll down, you got your font there. So
So I
Carla
would just,
14.
I tried doing that and I would increase that. There it
Yep,
goes.
there it goes.
All right. And then I could
Yeah.
probably do some. All right. Perfect. Problem solved. You guys are great. Appreciate it. Charles, I always appreciate, incidentally, Charles, you're always having great input at our Wednesday meetups. I really appreciate you
Well,
coming around.
I try.
Oh, you do a great job, man. You're a good addition. Sharon and Charles come to the Woo Wednesday meetup, which I will post Wednesday's agenda in the chat in a little bit. But yeah, they always good input and they're great supporters of the meetup. But let's get on to other questions because, you answered my question perfectly.
Sweet. Did we have any other questions? No? Because we are coming up our meeting technically, and Gordon's got a question. Go ahead. Please unmute yourself, and
Sorry
we'll
about
hear you much better.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks, Bill, for the great presentation. And is there I guess my question I put in the chat was what's the simplest way to start with something? Because I play music, but I'm not a WordPress specialist, so sometimes this is like a huge what is it? A drink from the fire hose.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe there's like a small achievable step I could take. Just I can see some
I've got an answer, a great answer for that.
Yep.
Hire Will.
Oh no, absolutely.
I think I would say if you can take individual questions people ask you and turn them into some WordPress blog posts, That's what I would do is take their question, make it the heading, and then make your answer the description. And that's what I would do. And then there's, I think there's a way you can track like likes in WordPress, like some kind of likes plugin. So if you install like a like plugin on your blog post, you'll find some of your most popular content. And if
Mhm.
you're putting it on YouTube and on your site, whatever you're doing, just create that free stuff. And then when your community gets to about 500 people, in terms of people who are subscribed to your YouTube, people who are subscribed to your newsletter, whatever it is, throw up that paywall of like $10 a month or something, and then start to. But I would do WordPress blog posts first for sure.
Okay. All right.
Because then
Thanks. Yeah.
oh yeah, no problem. Like, you'll see like down the line, you'll be like, okay, we got these most popular blog posts. I'm going to turn this blog post into a course, and then you'll be able to watch a tutorial, and you'll already have your content put together for what your course is going to be. So then you can just plug it in as you follow the click by click.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, as I'm seeing the big hand approaching 6, that means we're coming up on 7:30, so we want to start wrapping up. I'll ask a couple questions here. First of all, I want to thank Will for coming and putting that presentation together for us, man. Feel free to unmute and thank Will yourself. Applaud, use the little here. We'll use the reaction thing. Woohoo! And I would ask if anybody would consider the following. Is there a topic you'd like to hear about next time? Now, next time, of course, we are having Holly Cliff, who's going to be presenting on content creation, which is something that we all need in order to keep our sites relevant for both our human audiences and the bot audiences. So if there's anyone who would like to offer a presentation, 10, 20, 30-minute chat on whatever you might have a specialty of that our audience would benefit from, within the WordPress space, of course, but also within the business space. I will remind you to save the chat. I just put the instructions on how to do that in the chat. So if you look at the chat, you can save the chat. I would also ask you to invite and share other people, share this group and our presentations on social media. When you see we're having an event, when we're coming up on the Monday, post it on your business page, post it on your personal page if you have an audience that it would be appropriate for. But we want to grow this group and grow our audience, which of course will also grow our reach in terms of who sees these things. Because the way I've been doing it, I've been posting the web help, just the whole thing, warts and all, online as soon as possible as a replay, so people who weren't able to be here could watch it. Also trying to spend a little bit more time on editing and just do the presentation, which can then have a different viewership. It's pretty much standard how we do things, because whatever your presentation is, one thing I've noticed, we're not getting people staying that long into the watching the video when I check the stats. So I want to be able to put up 2 videos, one of the whole meeting for anybody who wants to catch the whole thing, but also have it be as a standalone that will have the subject presentation stand on its own. So, and that's what we will have for Will's presentation from tonight. So any last questions, suggestions, complaints, observations, pet peeves, strange animal noises? No, don't do that. Because we are at 7:30. All right. I always stick around in what I call the parking lot afterwards, if anybody wants to stick around and make comments or have separate chats. You know, we I stop administering that one. I don't facilitate that one. We just kind of let it happen. So if you want to hang around and talk with other people, please do. But otherwise, that brings us to the formal end of our evening. You're welcome, Charles. Good to have you here, man. Thanks for helping Mike out with that situation, because that would have been what I would have done, was first go to the Chrome developer tools and start
It's not his
doing
first
that.
time helping. He's helped a lot of people.
Yeah. No, the Chrome developer tool is powerful stuff. You can sit there and see exactly what's going on, see what it's being called, see what it's what it's a child of, all that sort of stuff, and play around with options and change colors right there without making actual changes. I can mess with Nike's website without them actually hiring me.
So most of you probably know Chrome had a big security issue. You have to update your Chrome browsers.